Hey guys, how's it going? This is Khan, Mr. So Real, and welcome to another episode of the State of the Game for the Division for August the 17th, 2017. Now, I have to say that this is honestly the weakest State of the Game I have ever seen in my life. It was completely pathetic and a giant waste of time. Yeah, that's about as far as I want to get with that. They basically went over some of the bug fixes that they know about. They talked about how the masks work and how to get them, and they also talked about classified drops. So let's try not to waste any more time and get into this. So in my usual fashion, I like to put in some highlights from what they said during the State of the Game into this video. But honestly, I didn't find anything they were saying to be groundbreaking or really worth taking the time to put anything exceptional into a video for it. So what I'm going to do is just go over the key points and then kind of give a little bit of my opinions. Lately, I haven't been giving my opinions on the State of the Game because it's mostly been information that has been kind of given to us, so there was no way for us to check it. We just have to kind of wait and see. So now that we do have 1.7 in our hands and we've played it, and I've definitely played it, I can give you some of my opinions on it and the way that it has been implemented and what I think about it. So the first thing is that they said there are going to be some bug fixes about giving out global event tokens, and that there was a bug where if you died, some of the modifier tokens were not given to you, and then the amount of tokens you got was less, so that they were going to look into that. Now, I don't remember looking at the amount of tokens. There's no real rundown of exactly how many tokens you get at the end of each run, so there was really no way for me to kind of check to be 100% sure. But if you had something like that happen to you and you found a way to check that, please let me know in the comment section how you found that out, and what your score was before that, and then what your score was after that, to kind of show what the difference was so that everybody could know and we could all talk about it. Now, the next thing that they brought up were the masks and how the masks have been implemented and the leaderboard. And it was actually quite interesting to hear that the devs themselves were quite confused about how it worked and that they didn't even know, which should tell us that it must be even worse for regular players to understand how they're supposed to work. I know that many times during my streams, people were coming in asking about how the masks work, if anybody had a mask and all that other stuff. And now that we come to find out that it's tied to the leaderboards, that is quite to be honest, that's quite depressing and really doesn't make any sense. When I heard about the mask, I basically assumed, like most of you, that if you had certain commendations and you knocked out a bunch of commendations, that you would get a mask. I mean, that really is the only thing that makes sense. Why would you tie something like that to the leaderboards, where even the system for the leaderboards doesn't even make any sense? But I'll get back to that later. So to give you guys some information on how this works, if you're not aware of how the mask works, there is a leaderboard that I guess stat checks how many global event tokens you get in 1 hour. What is the highest number of global event tokens that you achieve in 1 hour? So if you farm certain missions, or if you do certain incursions, Marco Styles made a video, shout outs to Marco, and he talked about how that system is very, very broken, and that if you farmed Clear Sky with a really good group and you did that for an hour, plus stacking some other missions ahead of that, you could really move your score up much higher than you should be able to. Now, if you get a really high score for the global event tokens in that 1 hour, then you'll be eligible for a mask. But it really only starts if you're in the upper 50% of the people who play for the PTS and have that that score modifier. Now, there are 3 different tiers, and the 3 tiers are tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1 is the lowest of all 3 of them, tier 3 being the highest. With tier 1, you have to be in the I guess upper 50% of all of the players, and you should get 1 mask. If you're in tier 2, which would be the upper 15%, in the top 15% of the leaderboards, then you should get 2 masks. If you are in the top 5%, you will be in tier 3 and you should get 3 masks. Now, they bring up a good question for solo players. This really kind of gives them the shaft, and there's no way that they can keep up with well-organized groups. And they had no response to that, which really seemed kind of crappy. So with no real answer to that, solo players, basically you're probably not going to get the tier 3 mask unless you cheat. And there have been instances on PC where people have been hacking and cheating, and they just said that if you were caught cheating, that you would be perma-banned, and then that's it. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm pretty sure there'll be some people who will, even though they cheat, not even get caught. The masks are not random, so if you're in tier 1, you'll get a tier 1 mask, and if you're in tier 3, you should get all 3 of them, so it shouldn't matter. And if you're in tier 2, you should get a tier 1 and tier 2 mask. So depending on the tier you get, that's the mask you're going to get. When they were asked about why they didn't tie them to commendations, they said they didn't know and that they were considering it. Really, again, I'm going to talk about this again. I thought that it was pretty much going to be tied to commendations, and the fact that it isn't really tells me a lot and says that this is really sad, and they really don't understand how these things should be working, and I'm quite disappointed in this entire thing. Now, the next thing that I guess we should talk about, because I'm tired of talking about masks, it's already frustrating enough, and I know most of you guys are probably pissed off because you know that maybe you have a job or you don't have a group of people who are mid-maxed and running through clear sky on his hardest difficulty in 5 minutes, like Marco and his group. So getting on to something else, bolt actions have been jamming, and they said that they know something about that, and maybe it has to do with the RPM limitations. I've been wondering about that myself. Maybe you guys have seen that in my streams. I would shoot and then nothing would happen. Once I shot it again, it was just really weird. So they're looking into a bug with the bolt actions, namely the M700s and the M44s jamming up. Global events being a little bit sooner rather than later. They were talking about the global events should be once a month. They were considering maybe doing something with changing the timing, maybe not having it once a month, but maybe for shorter periods of time or longer periods of time. I don't know. They were talking about maybe possibly the weekends, and they were talking about maybe bringing back global events that have already happened and bringing them back a little bit sooner rather than later. But they did not say that they would do 2 in a month, but they definitely shot down the idea of keeping global events as a 100% uptime thing. They said they want it to be occasional and be special, and that's kind of how that's going to be. The next thing is about classified drops and classified gear sets. I have had horrible luck with my classified gear sets and getting them from drops. If you've had really good luck, let me know what sets you got and how many caches you've opened. I've opened, I'd probably say about 12 to 13 of the really expensive ones, and out of all of that, I think I've gotten 3 classified gear pieces. And that's pretty sad. Most of the stuff I've gotten has been pure crap. I'm pretty sure most of you are experiencing the same problems. So the way that classifieds are going to work once the global event is over, you'll still be able to get classified gear items after the event finishes. They will drop in caches most of the time. They will drop in at the same rarity as exotics did before, so like Barrett's or exotic weapons and stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of few and far between and really rare, and they will be inside of caches. So they'll be in last stand caches, survival caches, underground caches, and they should drop from named NPCs inside and out of the dark zone. So any named NPCs will have a very small chance of dropping classified gear drops, and they will also be in the field proficiency caches as well. So that's one other thing to look forward to with that. Now, They will not drop in the supply drops, the monthly or the bi-monthly supply drops. They will not be in those, and they will just be in the caches that I mentioned and coming from named NPCs only. So the last thing that they talked about was survival, free weekend, hurrah, hurrah, and that is pretty much it. That was the state of the game. A lot of that and a lot of we know, and we're working on, and that was pretty much it. Nothing really amazing, and like I said, it was pretty lackluster. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'm Con Mr. So Real. I'm gonna get back to trying to grind out some stuff for the division. The stream team will probably have a stream up I guess tomorrow after the vendor reset, so if you enjoy that, please come on and stop by, hang out with the stream team while we crack jokes, play a little bit of games, and that's gonna be it. You'll probably catch me on Mixer, YouTube, Twitch, and you can always follow me on Twitter to find out what else is going on. And I will be playing other games, and you will find other games and their videos on this channel as well. So that is going to be it for me. I will catch you guys in the next one. Definitely look out for the vendor reset coming up tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Take it easy. Have a good day. I hope you get a whole bunch of good classified gear stuff. Leave a comment. Let me know if you guys finished out the set and how good is it. I'll catch you later. Peace.